a pet alien.
No, you don't.
I do want a pet alien.
No, you need to talk directly into your microphone.
I want a pet alien.
No, she doesn't.
I do want one.
Because pet and alien are oxymorons.
No.
And you didn't have your audio on your computer off again?
No.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday live stream. I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're happy and safe and healthy and all that good stuff as we near the end of 2020. And as somebody cleverly said on the internet the other day, when we get to the end of it on, midnight between December 31st and January 1, let us all remember we're not going to say Happy New Year. We're all going to scream Jumanji because we all beat the game. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Michael.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I have candy, so I'm good.
Awesome. Let us know if you can hear us or if you can't hear us. We should have all the levels correct. We are talking today about Alien versus Predator, not just the mini franchise Alien versus Predator, but the franchises. So we're going to be discussing the merits of both of them.
We are talking about Alien and Predator and comparing and contrasting them.
Thank you.
I mean, it's
Just to clarify.
This was actually, I pitched this to Michael. I'm like, ooh, let's light a fire. Let's talk about Predator versus Alien, and not the movie, but just in general.
Right, and the movie will come into it.
It
of
will.
course.
It will.
But we were going to talk about all of it. Now, as I learned, and you already knew, Alien and Predator are franchises that if you're not following them, which I don't, meaning
They're saying audio seems low, and they're particularly saying I seem low.
Hang on. Oh, let me go adjust.
We're going to adjust. We're going to adjust. All right. So anyway,
No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't really talking.
the point that I'm trying to make is that if you are not a devoted fan of the Alien versus Predator franchises on a level like you would be, say, Star Wars or Star Trek, I was not aware beyond the movies that, I knew there were some comic books. I loved the arcade game Alien versus Predator growing up. Played a few of the other video games from the different franchises, but I did not know the level to which the mythology had developed in licensed novels and comic books. So I'm going into some of this a little blind, but I'm talking about the broader... What's going on?
Veda Black says, kind of like comparing and contrasting Animal Farm and 1984.
In a way, yeah.
But when I read that, I thought about, what was that game on Facebook where you played with, where you made your farm? What was
Farmville.
it? I thought you said Farmville in 1984, which I would see as...
Can you hear her now?
Can you hear me? Check, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2. They say my level is good.
Good. Excellent. All right. Well, getting started with this, I don't really know where to begin because there's so much to cover. So I guess we just jump first into maybe we'll jump into the hard question first. I'm going to ask both of you what you like better as a franchise, Alien or Predator. And you can expound on that as long or as little as you like. So who wants to start?
Tim?
All right, Tim, go ahead.
Tim wants to start.
Okay, so I like both, but if it comes down to the number of the movies within the franchise you like, I would say I like more of the Predator movies than I do the Alien movies.
Now, do you consider the AVP movies one or the other, or something completely different?
Well, I try not to consider that one at all.
Oh, okay.
But,
but either one of them?
No, I think it falls in the category of both.
Okay.
So I still like more of the Predator movies, because I love Predator 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, 2 and done should have been the thing. But in Aliens, I only like Aliens.
Oh, you don't even like the first one?
I do like the first. See, you put me in a box, man. You put me in a box.
I'm just trying to clarify for everybody watching.
No, I do like the first one, okay, but Aliens, the second one, is by far in my book the best one. So.
Okay, so like much like your preference for the prequel Star Wars trilogy, where there's a lot of pew 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 pew.
Yeah.
You like your Aliens movies to have a lot of
Yeah.
game over.
Sort of
man.
the-
Like,
Yeah,
that's-
game
Sort of the
over.
difference between First Blood and First Blood Part 2 is really the difference between Alien and Aliens, in my opinion.
That's actually an interesting comparison. So yeah, you could say that.
Okay. Did you want me to go next, or
Yes,
you?
I want you to go next.
I love Alien and Aliens.
So you like the Aliens franchise
I
more than
don't
Predator.
like Predator at all. So
And
yes,
the live stream just went.
I
Light it up. Light it up.
there are elements in
Uh-huh.
Predator that I do like, but in
Right.
terms of sitting down and watching the film or films, it's not something that really engages me. It's
Okay.
just sort of like, okay. But I think that there are reasons for that are just because of who I am. I'm not saying, like, it's my own biases in some of those ways. Like, in a lot of ways, the first film especially is a very competently made film, especially for what it's trying to accomplish. I think that it achieves what it sets out to accomplish. I just think that it's not on the same level as Alien. Like, I think it was never supposed to be.
You mean
On that.
from an intellectual perspective, or
And from a film perspective, like
Okay.
it's comparing John McTiernan to Ridley Scott. I mean,
Well, I think she's also coming at it from a science fiction writing perspective, whereas Alien is more like, don't quote me on this directly, but I'm trying to create a comparison here. Watching the original Alien, and you tell me if I'm wrong or off base.
I will.
Watching the original Alien is like reading Asimov, whereas watching Predator is like reading,
Science fiction magazine.
Kevin J. Anderson or something like.
hey,
Look, I'm just saying, like it's.
have you even read Kevin J.
Yes.
Anderson?
Look, it's pulpier science fiction is what I'm saying versus Asimov.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt
I'm
there,
not taking
but
anything away from Mr. Anderson. What I'm
even
saying
in
is
like in the
Mr.
movies though, where
Anderson.
you think Alien is, there's not a little pulpiness in Aliens.
I'm saying what she's saying. I'm just trying to interpret for everybody.
No,
what
that's
she might be
fine. It's
reaching for.
good.
Is that it?
I don't get as much of a pulpy, schlocky, die-hard feel from Alien. Certainly the first one, but really quick, I have some super chats. I want to go ahead and read
Okay.
those. Jody says, I just hate those GD aliens and Aliens versus Predator game.
Jody.
Sorry, it's flipped down on me again.
Yep.
Scott says, Aliens has to be one of the greatest sequels of all time. Alien didn't leave a natural hook to hang a follow-up on, and making an action sequel to a horror movie that actually worked was amazing.
Agreed.
I totally
I
agreed.
agree. Although I have other thoughts on that, but I'll keep those to myself for now. A World Made of
No,
Cardboard.
that's not what this is about.
A World Made of Cardboard says, I was just surprised that Leonard has the license for Aliens, not bad-looking figures.
Yeah, Leonard, the company that made the core. When we
Oh,
were kids,
yeah.
They now have the license. for
Which just, I mean, if you're gonna pick a toy line to make after a movie, you pick Aliens.
I know.
It's a weird one to me. I never quite got
Yeah.
over it because by the time it came out, I was
Right.
already well into adulthood.
These toys were like 6 or 7 years after the Aliens
yes.
movie.
So,
Okay, so there's more sound stuff, you guys. I hate to tell you, but Jody says, Tim's sound level is perfect. Can you put Michael and Melinda's sound at the same? They're about 50 to 75% of Tim's mic.
no,
Do you want me to go try it?
no, I will go adjust. They're not at the same levels. That's the problem.
Well, that's because we're louder.
A man after my own heart. A World Made of Cardboard says, saw Alien 3 in the theater. I left the movie kinda in a disappointed daze.
Well, I think that reflects a lot of people walking out of Alien 3, or as I like to call it, Alien Cubed.
Which is what they do, because they do
Right.
superscript the 3.
Right.
Jason Anderson says, Alien is haunted house in space. Predator is any other Arnold movie, just with a little more gore. Unless it's Aliens versus Predator when there's no gore at all, which was a really weird choice.
There's a little. Well, I think it's because they made it PG-13.
That's exactly right, but it was a weird choice to make to have no blood. Like when Alien, which the movie is clearly if it's a teeter-totter, it's definitely teetering toward the Alien side because Alien is a better movie. But they went, like, Alien is known for its gore. Alien and Aliens, and all of those movies are kind of known for their gore, as was Predator, actually. So it's just a weird decision to do that, but whatever. I guess they were just trying to get more people in the theaters, and they thought, 10-year-olds would be a good, 13-year-olds would be a good addition to the...
Did you answer?
I haven't answered yet. We're getting there. It's all good. I think we have a super chat or something left, so...
Jody, we're just going to have to work with the sound that we have because we want to actually do the stream, not just a sound check for 2 hours. So,
why is he still saying there's something wrong?
Yeah.
Jody, check your local settings on your computer for your
He's saying
YouTube.
you're quiet, so you just have to yell, Michael.
Well, no,
I'm quiet?
Master Son 42 says...
Are you out of your mind?
Master Son says, Aliens better than Alien, but you needed Alien to set the tone. Predator was better than every Predator that followed. The cast alone made it better. Michael? Oh, wait. Sorry, there's one more. JD1989 says, Alien is Texas Chainsaw Massacre in space. Aliens is the Vietnam War in space. So we're just going to be comparing Alien and Aliens to like every other thing in the world.
Yeah, it was like now the name of the live stream is Alien versus Aliens franchise.
That should have been the topic, apparently.
No. Are we turning it up a little more?
I'm turning you up.
Me? Me?
Yes.
Ah.
Yes, doing a sound check for 2 hours is pushing it, Kieran. That's kind of my point. It's like, I'm sure you can hear Michael. I've never been in any situation where I can't hear Michael, including like on the other side of a grocery store.
Well,
so
it depends on the device you're on and your internet connection and all of that wonderful stuff.
Well, this isn't my normal mic. Can you hear that stroking? Can you hear it?
Scott says, I was super excited to see Prometheus until I actually saw it. Has any other filmmaker done as much damage to their own creation as Ridley Scott, or am I alone in loathing that movie? No, you are not alone in that.
But of course, I have to be the odd man out because I love the fact that Prometheus burned it to the ground. I actually enjoy that.
That's why we have him on this stream, because he's going to keep the fires lit. My answer to this question, if anybody cares at this point.
Well, we're only 17 minutes in, so we definitely still care.
Oh, and that's another thing I got to point out. We're not going to be having a box opening today because Tim and I went to the post office and it was like free mail day or something.
Yes.
We don't even know what
not
the
men.
No.
Not dudes.
Postage. It was free postage day from what it looked like. It looked like people were lining up to see Star Wars Episode 10. Like there was something going on there. We were like, we would still be standing there right now. So unfortunately, we had to turn around and come back because we wouldn't have been on time for the live stream.
Very true.
We prioritized pizza over
Right.
mail, and I think it was the right choice, and I stand by it.
Yeah, so my whole take on the whole Aliens versus Predator thing from a personal perspective, like you guys just said, overall, I feel like both of these franchises from a movie perspective were two and done. They should have both been Alien, Aliens, Predator, Predator 2, done. And then like the Alien versus Predator thing that showed up in the 90s was fun in comics and in arcade games. I really loved the arcade game for it. But as far as like picking one versus the other, I admit, like I own Predator and Predator 2 and I own Alien and Aliens. But when I'm watching them, I think I end up watching both of them as infrequently as one another. I know that's weird. I'm not trying to be neutral here. Have I seen Aliens a lot more? Yes, I've watched Aliens a lot more than I have Predator. And if I was going to throw out like the thing that's just going to light up the live stream, but hey, while we're being honest about our opinions here, I actually enjoy the Predator as a concept more when he's helping out humanity against the aliens. Like, I love the original Predator movie. I think it's great. I love the whole survival thing, and it's classic 80s. And I like the second one, aside from some lopsided casting. I really like the second one because of its new setting and everything like that.
No kidding.
Right. But the Predator as a thing, I like the best when he's, like, trying to help the humans against the alien threat. Like, that's, I don't know. I just love that the best.
I agree.
Yeah.
Totally
No
agree.
comment. Next question. Robert says, Tim, your thoughts on Danny Glover's performance in Predator 2?
I loved it. I actually, when I first watched the movie, it was probably 91. I didn't actually see it in the theater.
Right.
But when
I saw it for the first time last night.
Oh. But seeing Danny Glover, I was like, Danny Glover, I'm like, Murtaugh? You know?
He was awesome.
But no, that's what I'm saying. He turned out to be incredible. The fight between him and the alien at the end was one of the best fight scenes I've ever seen. I think it was done really well. I loved his character. I love how he ended it. I mean, he did a great... I'm surprised he did not do more action movies, I guess is my thing.
Yeah.
Because he could have easily been a really great action movie star.
To your point, though, about the casting of Danny Glover being so solid, and I mentioned a second ago the lopsided casting within the movie. For every great performance in the movie, there is a terrible performance right next to them.
Yes.
Like, there's no consistent... You know how sometimes you'll get a movie where the cast is serviceable, but they're all at the same level, so it's fine. And then you get casts that are totally stellar, and then you get casts that totally suck across the board, right? Like The Room. Then you got this movie, and it's like, for every Danny Glover, there is like Bill Paxton's worst performance in movie history.
Which is really saying something.
For every Robert Davi, there is that girl from The Running Man suddenly forgetting how to act and just giving the most wooden line readings.
Right.
I don't know what happened with that film.
Well, and the way they treated the government agency. And
Yes.
How inept they were. And
So apparently Gary Busey's character was what they initially envisioned as Schwarzenegger's character for this movie, which is weird. They must have had some rewrites because obviously Dutch in the original Predator film was not a CIA type agent guy, right? Like that was
He's full on military.
Yeah, he was more like a military commando-y type of guy. So I don't know exactly how they were planning to work that in, but that was one of the several reasons that Schwarzenegger supposedly didn't take that role, is because he didn't like it being set in the city. He didn't like the fact that his character was essentially going to be kind of a bad guy. I don't know if they were going to have that character killed off in the first draft when Schwarzenegger was going to be playing it, or if they added that when Gary Busey jumped in. But what do you think about Schwarzenegger in that role? Like, can you imagine him as any version of that role?
I think it would have came off completely different.
Yeah.
Because part of me looks at Busey, I didn't necessarily see them as entirely bad guys. I mean, they were very much, we just want to catch him and understand him and learn his technology. And even when you thought he was dead and Glover was about to die, Busey jumps in front and he's like, I got you now. And he's like, get out of here, run for it, get out. So he's saving Glover. I mean, it's like, I think if you had Schwarzenegger in there, that whole role might have had a completely different impact on the movie. Like, but I agree that I wouldn't want to see him in that role because he would be dead. And it's like, he wouldn't go out like that.
Well, that's the funny part about it is you don't get the sense that when you're watching the movie, you don't get the sense that Danny Glover needs to be so antagonistic with this guy. It's like, what has the guy exactly done to you yet that's made? And so that's where the writing problem comes in. The setting is great. It has with the Predator barely involved, it has one of the most quintessential late 80s / early 90s over-the-top gunfights at the very beginning that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Where it's just
ridiculous.
So many bullets, so many F-bombs. Like it is prototypical 89, 90 action filmmaking.
Yes.
Well, and also the scenes where Danny Glover's character is like in there talking to his boss. It's the standard cop thing where, you're a loose cannon and we got to, all of the tropey type stuff. It's pretty funny. Like I was kind of finding myself laughing all of those
But
scenes.
that guy who plays his boss is one of the examples of terrible casting.
Exactly, yes.
It's like you've got Gary Busey at the top, then you've got the captain, then you've got Danny Glover. Gary Busey's actually selling his lines because he was in his heyday. Then this guy is a total dud, and then you got Danny Glover. It's crazy.
Well, and then you got that
hard.
reporter trying to follow him around like TMZ.
Right.
Which is a very
thing.
conflicted thing because the first time he's on screen and they're trying to cover all of it up, you're kind of like voting for the reporter to like let people know the truth. But then later he's like a jerk and you're like, this character serves no purpose whatsoever. So,
Right.
Jody says, picking one versus the other, I always play as Predator. Marines are a piece of cake. Aliens as well, unless they crawl on the walls on top of you, as well as left and right nasty buggers. Stupid thing flipping around on me. Connor says, not just for these movies, but are we getting too many backstory movies nowadays? Like it was the mystery that made some classic movies work. Yes. I think that starts, we talked at lunch about how George Lucas, I don't know if he started it, but he definitely loves to focus on like, let's go back and see how these characters got to where they are. No one cares. No one cares what made Darth Vader. He's a bad guy. We enjoy seeing him as a bad guy. I don't want to see him as a little kid. I don't need to see the kid version or the previous version of all these things. Like, just show me the thing. But now we have like baby. I'm surprised we don't have baby Boba Fett. Baby Boba walking around as little.
Well, now Baby Yoda is not actually Yoda. They just don't know what to call him.
I know. I didn't say Baby Yoda. I said Baby Boba.
They did that in the Clone Wars.
I know they did, but technically that wasn't exactly the same thing. I'm sure there's some sort of like dumb explanation, like whatever. But yes, Connor, I agree with you fully on that. I'm feeling extra sassy
Well, I
today.
think part of the problem though is the fact that you've got these two franchises. We're talking about the movies, but we haven't touched on the fact that there is this enormous universe that's been built around it that started out really interesting. You talk specifically about the comics, but we've almost gotten out of control. Not as much on the Predator side, but on the Alien side, it is spinning wildly out of control, at least in my mind.
What have you heard about it, or what do you know?
Well, I mean, I watch a lot of the synopsis on some of this stuff, and no, I've not read all the books. I'm not a big reader. I don't have a whole lot of time.
How dare you?
I know. I'm sorry. But just watching a lot of the breakdown of the stories on some other YouTube channels and things that I watch, and how it all ties back, especially, because you go down that rabbit hole with Prometheus, and that's one reason I love Prometheus, because it just blows everything up, but it takes you down that rabbit hole of the expanded universe of the different hives on different planets and the different groups of humans that are fighting the different hives, and now how there's different, the aliens are changing even more now, and now instead of the queen, there's now another mega looking creature that's out there that's even bigger than it. So it's just spun wildly out of control, at least in my mind. There doesn't seem to be a linear path.
It sounds a lot like how they just kept building out the whole Dalek thing in Doctor Who, where it's like, well, first there was
very much
the Master Dalek, and then there was Davros, and then there was the Dalek Emperor, and then it's like they kept trying to add another one into the mythology.
Absolutely.
You haven't even seen my final form.
Jody says, kudos to Tim for nailing the sound levels now.
Oh, thank God.
That's one check mark. Okay.
Just so you know, that machine, you can't put it on the exact same setting for every input. That's why it does this. It just doesn't work that way.
A World Made of Cardboard says, what went on behind the scenes that brought these two franchises together? Never thought of combining Alien with Predator. It seems like Jason versus Freddy at the time. Can I just say that I feel like because the two films are so wildly different in tone and type, Jason versus Freddy at least makes sense. Like, but to me, if you're gonna like have the Predator go up against something, have it go up against something like Critters. It's more on par with what it is, because comparing it to Alien is like,
oh,
but
my.
But the thing is that okay, I Critters are little fuzzball.
Yeah.
No.
I want to see that movie.
She's doing this on purpose.
I know she's trolling.
She's doing it on
she's
purpose.
trolling. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
The reason
you alien folks out there, you got my back. I know you do.
The reason I think that first, and I'll answer the question, Will made a cardboard to the best of my ability. From what I understand, after they saw the skull as the in-joke in Predator 2, they started talking around at Fox, since they owned both franchises, about doing an Alien versus Predator movie. And the movie never quite got off the ground fast enough, so they quickly put the project in development hell, and then they sanctioned a comic book from Dark Horse, which also prompted the arcade game in 1994. So those were kind of like the two things. And then the toy line, Kenner put the two brands together for their toy line, and because they were already doing the Aliens toys. And so they just kind of dovetailed them. The whole thing about combining Alien with Predator, to take umbrage with your Critters thing.
I like Critters. That's a great movie.
I do love Critters.
But
Terrence, man.
You're insulting.
Seeing the Predator go up against Critters is like seeing a tornado tear through Ewoks. Like, there's just no...
Exactly. That would be amazing to watch. Like, then I would be 100% on the side of Predator. Tell me you guys wouldn't want to see that. That would be hilarious and fun. It's a popcorn movie. Like, just go all the way with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's funny, and you know it.
No, so here's the thing. I said earlier that my favorite, the thing that gets me most excited about the Predator as a character is when he's in the Alien versus Predator scenario, because I love being able to be the Predator who's trying to stop an alien invasion. I think that's really cool. I really liked the last 20 minutes of the first Aliens versus Predator movie.
Yes, I would agree.
The last 20 minutes, once the female lead gives him the weapon and they both go after the aliens together, I was having a lot of fun with that. The rest of the movie's junk, but I was having a lot of fun with that part.
Yes.
So
I agree.
What I like about the Predator going up against aliens is that, unlike the Predator going up against humans or critters or Ewoks or whatever, where the Predator is really just an unfair advantage. He's like the guy in the deer stand with the deer musk on and all the camo.
He's a dick.
And nothing...
He is.
There goes our monetization.
No.
Nothing can see him, right? He's just kind of, it's easy pickings. Like, he's just, I know he goes after what he thinks are the strongest.
It doesn't matter,
prey.
though. Why bother going after the strongest if you're going to hide yourself by being invisible and have all these weapons and all this?
My point is...
It makes my blood boil.
The reason I like the Predator going up against aliens is because they are the first fictional creature I've seen that even the Predator, in my perception, is threatened by. Like, there is no guarantee when I see an alien that even a Predator is going to come out of that alive. And then the movie bore that out by killing 2 of the 3 Predators within seconds, which I didn't even know was going to happen. I just picked up on that from playing the arcade game as a kid. It was like, oh, wow, like... I've seen aliens. These things are scary. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to make it out of here with enough quarters.
But you know what would have made it more awesome?
Critters?
No. If they had the aliens, like, if humans were just not even involved, because humans are boring. So, like, take the aliens and have them try to attack the Predators, and then the Predators are in the defensive mode. That would be interesting, because then... I can focus less on the fact that I hate the Predator and I want it to die, because it's just essentially like a wuss serial killer who's hiding himself to go in and, like, he's killing people, skinning them, hanging them upside down, but, like, for what purpose? Because he's Ed Gein.
Would you like
to see he's
him?
An invisible Ed Gein, like, and he's just like, woo, look at me, I'm a twisted freak.
Would you like to see him eating them on screen?
Is he eating them? Because we didn't see them eating. That's my point.
Big game hunter. That's all he is.
He's a canned game hunter. He's not like a hunter like, oh, I'm hunting because I need to eat my food. He's like a rich guy who goes on a canned safari on a wildlife preserve and shoots a lion and then takes pictures like, look what a badass I am. And he's not at all. Like, that's what he is. But actually, every guy in that movie is also kind of that macho thing too. So it's kind of like the good guys and the bad guy in Predator are kind of the same guy. Like, they're all kind of like these macho, like, look how cool and tough I am. I've got these trophies. I got these things. Look at me. Brr, brr, brr. Like, how am I supposed to like anyone in the movie? Seriously.
Well, you're supposed to like the fact that it is an action movie with, one-liners and over-the-top explosions and, bullets flying everywhere.
And normally I do, so it's weird that I don't like it.
Stick around. Come on, that's a great line.
Come on, do it.
Analog Toys, Tony wants you to say, he says, can we get Jimmy Stewart reading the line, if it bleeds, we can kill it?
If it bleeds, we can kill it. Yeah, we're going to get this gun here.
Plastic Galaxy says, get to the chopper. I can't say it.
Yeah, get to the chopper. Go. You're all just stupid.
Did Jimmy Stewart ever yell anything?
No. No. The closest he ever came to yelling was at Grace Kelly in Rear Window.
Master Son says, Predator is the best of the two. The scene where Blaine dies and they fire for a minute and 1 second from first to last bullet, destroying an entire forest is the best scene in the 80s.
Yes!
Fight me.
I love that. It's one of my favorite scenes in the 80s. I completely agree.
I mean, I love how they're just burning through their ammo.
And that was one of the first times.
It's super dumb.
It's one of the first times, though, we see a minigun like that. You remember that's the first time? At least it was the first time I saw one, and I'm like, that's the coolest gun I've ever seen.
It kind of felt like the director was judging how ripped he thought each actor was by the type of gun they were given.
He was, actually.
And I know. And it's like, that movie is just pure testosterone. So I think my point that I said earlier is I'm a female.
You are?
And so therefore, me watching it, it is just so, there are a lot of action movies that I've watched, and I love the action genre, but that movie is just raw testosterone.
Maybe you just don't like the sci-fi element with the action element. So, for example, you love...
I don't like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that is a problem because he is so much...
But you like Sylvester Stallone.
I love Stallone.
Now we know why she doesn't like Arnold, because they were in conflict in the competition.
But you know who
80s.
I do like?
She picked her Pepsi versus her Coke.
You heard it here.
You'll notice I have an RC.
And also, I like Carl Weathers. Even though I know he's a jerk, he's the only likable person, aside from the female character, in that whole movie. Because they're all just oh my God, Jesse the Body Ventura, I just want to punch him in the face. He would kill me. He would literally kill me, with his pinky finger. But I'm just saying, he's awful. He's so...
On the next live stream, we're going to replay all this, and it's going to be titled How to Kill a Live Stream. So, Melinda...
You told me I was allowed to have my opinion.
You are allowed to have your opinions. You are allowed to have your opinions. But the blowback, oh God.
You know what? You're allowed to disagree with me, audience. It's really fine. I know that I'm probably in the minority here, but...
It's okay. I'm in the minority most of the time here. I mean, I like Prometheus. I like the prequels. I mean, hello.
Yeah, well... I like the fact that you're fearless. I like the fact that possibly for once, I'm not going to be the one that gets slammed.
Murray is saying, I love Melinda. So people are not mad at me. You're the only one that is having an issue with
I don't think he was mad. I just think he's shocked. He was just clearly shocked.
I'm not mad.
Kieran says, Melinda, do you kiss Michael with that mouth? Only when he's not disagreeing with me.
That was great. That's a good line.
I'm not mad at her. I'm just
Jason says, toxic masculinity, the movie. And you said it, not me. But that is exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is.
That didn't even exist in the 80s.
It was the 80s. Are you kidding me? But you know what's fun? I will say this. I kind of toning it down a little bit.
No.
So Predator is kind of love it or hate it, without judgment. It is a very male movie. It is guys being guys turned up to 11, and you have to agree with me on that. Those dudes are just jacked, and they are super aggro, right? Okay, that movie is all about and hunting, whatever. Alien, on the other hand, and Aliens is sort of all about motherhood and women and femininity and all of this stuff. So I think it's really interesting that they have them set up as this because it's all about, like, in the first movie, you have the whole, like, the ship is mother. You've got the alien bursting out of chest, sort of like as an analogy for childbirth. And so it's the birth part. Aliens is more about being a mother. It's Ripley coming to terms with the fact that her daughter died, and then sort of having Newt as her surrogate daughter, and the protectiveness of the mother, and the queen mother becomes like she's defending her babies, and Ripley is defending her child. And so it's an analogy for the protectiveness of motherhood versus this super masculine thing of, like, dudes like, I'm gonna, hit you with my thing, and I'm gonna hit you with my thing, and then I'm the biggest and I'm the strongest. And so it's just kind of interesting to see they're both very action violence related, but it's just the implementation is just so different. And it's interesting on that level, and I feel like it's kind of a missed opportunity with Alien versus Predator as a film, where it could have really explored some of those ideas, but it really just didn't explore crap.
I just like laser guns
Okay.
and blowing things up.
As I accidentally burp into the microphone. I want to say,
You know.
that was dumb. I'd like to say something now. First of all, I agree with you after hearing what you just said. I had not considered the fact that all of those signifiers were in the Alien franchise in that level. Like, we always focus on Ripley being this example of how to write a female lead well, right? Because of the whole Ray thing. We all know that Ripley was held up next to Linda Hamilton.
And as badly as they did it, they continued it even as the Alien franchise went on, all the way through till when she ends up essentially giving birth to an alien.
Well, that was Alien 3. And then
I
Alien
know.
4,
and then Alien 4, she's...
But my point in saying that is that I'd never gone past that, thinking about the whole thing that the ship is called Mother and this and that. Very interesting.
Thank you.
I didn't come up with being said, Melinda has an anthropological background, so we all sort of watch movies in different ways.
That's right.
Melinda was actually joking with me last night where I was describing to her the Alien versus Predator arcade game. And I said, yeah, and there was this new character named Lynn Kurosawa, and I would always play her because she had this auto pistol, and they go, and I'd be killing aliens, and she stopped me, and she goes, hold on a second. And I'm like, what? And she's like, you always play the female characters in video games. And I went, what do you mean? She's like, Lara Croft, Dazzler and X-Men, Lynn Kurosawa and Not the Predator. And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know. Well, I'm going to have moon pie now.
Well, some of my problem with, and particularly as the Predator franchise, not so much the first movie, but as the franchise continues on and they develop the background mythology of Predator, they break the whole character. And they kind of do the same thing in Aliens too, so it's not limited. They both screw up their franchises because they lose the message. But particularly, at least the Alien, we know its motivation is to find humans or other life forms, whatever they are, and insert their offspring into their facehugger things, and so that they can procreate their parasites. That's a very solid.
Is, right?
Well, yes.
You know what the facehugger
I do know
is,
what
right?
it is, but anyway, my point is, it's
got
got
a facehugger is, right? Pretty masculine, that facehugger, kind of forcing itself on people and.
I wasn't going to go there, but if you want to...
I was just trying to throw that in there to be as symbolic as you've been. I want to contribute to the intellectual conversation.
But I'm saying, like, that has a purpose. The Predator, and particularly when you get to, like, AVP, their whole thing is just all over the map. Literally all over the map. Like, all over... Like, it's like as though they were sponsored by... the Ancient Aliens documentary stupid thing. It's aliens. It was aliens. Like, I could just see that guy, the whole movie, like, saying the whole reason that the pyramids were built was because of aliens. And it's just like, that's so problematic. And, I am watching that with an anthropology background and an archaeology background. And every single thing that happens is broken and horrible. And I also am watching it as an X-Files fan, and so all I can see is Fight the Future in the very end where, like, there's a giant spaceship under Antarctica, and, it's like, did you guys, like, steal that from Fight the Future? It wasn't even like a well-received film. Like what? Anyway, I've got to read some super chats soon. So what were you gonna say?
Nothing. I've lost it all.
You lost the will to live.
I don't even know anymore.
I'll stop talking. Scott says, "Let's nuke them from orbit" is one of the great moments of 80s cinema. It's not often that movie characters even attempt to take a logical step like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
You can always write that into a plot when you're not on Earth, and that's what makes it great.
Matt Film Production says that he thinks I've missed the point with Arnold's team. They were a rescue team, not assassins. No, I know that, but they also are like assessed by their physical prowess, which is how the Predator is trying to also show that he has amazing physical prowess by getting these trophy kills.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, so that's all I'm saying. I get that they're slightly different. I'm not saying they're exactly the same. I'm just saying that they are physical beings. They're not intellectual, which is weird. And I'm going to make this point real quick. If you're a hunter and you're coming to Earth, if you're an alien hunter, right, and you're coming to Earth, if you're choosing humans as your prey, the reason you're doing that is because they're really smart, not because they're the most formidable physically, because we're not.
Right.
On this Earth, there are a lot of predators who are apex predators that would kill a human.
Right.
So it's just interesting that it's partially the intelligence. And I'm not saying that Dutch and his team, they are the best of the best. They make the point of saying these guys are all the best of the best. But it's just like, if you're picking prey for being like this super formidable, smart prey, then wouldn't it make sense for you to like let them know that you're there and like fight them out like with a challenge instead of hiding from them? Because otherwise, what's the point? Anyway, I'll shut up.
Don't shut up.
It breaks my brain. Okay, WildStar Studio says, how would Melinda feel with Stallone and Predator?
Completely different.
Yeah, she would.
I don't.
You would.
No, I
Don't
wouldn't.
even lie. You so would.
No.
Yeah, you would.
No.
Yes.
She's like, you just put me in a box.
Yo, Dylan, son of a bitch. Hey, dude.
Oh no, we just demonetized the live stream.
Well, I figured it already happened, so
You know what?
whatever now.
My cousin, who I hate, is a hunter. And he is a hunter like the wuss that sits in a deer stand hunter. And so any movie that depicts that and glamorizes that, I am not going to like that movie. I just don't. I think it's a wuss move. I think it's lame. And there's nothing that anyone's going to say that's going to convince me otherwise, Stallone or not. I probably would have lost all respect for Stallone had he been in a movie like that.
I'm so embarrassed.
Jody says, because I'm in a super good mood and want to share the joy. One of my vids just got 2,000 views.
Congrats. Congrats.
So anyway, okay, wait. I got to scroll back up because it flipped down on me again.
I think we should talk about something that's subject neutral.
I don't know why that's so like.
No, I'm just trying to re-level set because your opinions are welcome here. And
see, Scuba Pete says Melinda doesn't like Oscar. See, I don't like everything Stallone does. I mean, I kind of do, but you'll notice Stallone wasn't in Predator, and that's the point that I think we all need to take away.
Wow.
SXHBK says Melinda is very funny. She just hates many things, and see, he gets me. That guy gets me.
You know what? All I've ever wanted in the last
Tony says Melinda rocks.
All I've ever wanted in the last 8 years I've done this web channel is a quote that says, Michael is very funny. He just hates many things. But have I got... No, I haven't. I've never gotten that comment.
You don't hate
You are very funny, and you do hate many things.
I do, but
you don't hate as many things as I do, though.
That's true.
Laser Pants says Melinda opinions are fine even if they're wrong. Just kidding. He says wink, just kidding. I agree with you. Jesus says toxic masculinity. Hell yeah, that's why it's awesome. You're right. That is what makes the movie awesome. And so
and Melinda is absolutely right. I never considered it that way, but when I do think about it, I think it's okay to have a masculine movie.
I think so too. Yeah.
And it's okay to be, And I do think it was about the cunning and the intelligence because Arnold had to use his wit to beat the Predator ultimately. So
by being like Stallone and hiding in the mud.
Yeah. There you go. So yeah, I mean,
I'm just messing with you, Tim.
She literally, she's not saying it's bad. Or,
I'm not.
She's not saying that at all. But
She's not saying the Predator movie shouldn't exist.
right, yeah, that's
I'm not.
she's
I'm
saying.
saying I have a hard time finding my way into it, but I get why guys love it and people love it in
Melinda's
general.
not about artistic censorship at all. As a matter of fact, she's the opposite of artistic censorship.
Right.
What she's simply saying is that this is just not the movie she'd choose to watch.
Yes.
Well, I also, I think that it's something that Arnold himself, there is something about him that I can't put my finger on, that he's not accessible or likable to me at all. He comes off, especially in this movie, I will say Predator is his best acting that I've ever seen him in.
You heard it? You should have say it again. Say it again. Say it again.
Arnold
Say it again.
in Predator, that is his best acting. It's his best acting for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Look, I will be the first one to admit there's not a lot of depth to Arnold. I'm sorry.
There's not, but he is. He plays this role very well. But you know why? Because this character is extremely arrogant and full of himself, and I just don't like. I know if I knew that guy, I would not like him personally.
Probably
right?
not. Yeah,
and that's fine. Like you don't necessarily need to like him because he's out in the jungle killing things, and that's cool.
I can prove that Arnold is a deep and nuanced actor.
Oh my God!
Are you ready?
Yeah.
I can prove it.
Junior.
Take this pen and stick it up your nose. What? Come on.
Charles Phillips says, pure unfiltered Melinda is the best Melinda. Here for it. That's what he says. So they don't agree with you.
I'm not. What? I haven't even taken a stance. I've literally just been bulldozed over on this live stream. I didn't even get it.
I will say this is the quietest I've ever seen Michael, like ever in my life.
Wow.
Anyway, Gaz says, and what was Rambo? Well, I think the First Blood was First Blood Part 2.
Y'all stop.
First Blood Part 2 is the same thing. That's why I don't like it. It's the weak, aside from the new one, it's the weakest of all of the Rambo movies because it is just it's just dumb. Like it's dumb. It lost what was great about the first one. Now, I will also say that the reason I love Alien the best of all of these movies, the first Alien movie, in my opinion, is the best. I love slow movies. I love the confined, terrifying thing. And it's interesting that in Predator and Alien, they both have that amazing Jaws-like slow build before you see the monster.
Yes.
You never really know exactly what's happening. And that, I will say, is one of the strengths of Predator and Alien, because they have this tension that's building because you're like, what is happening? And to that point, I have a question for you guys, since you both kind of like Predator a little more than me. And you guys as well, what do you think about, in the first scene in Predator, you see the spaceship sort of dropping away from its other spaceship and shooting down to land in the jungle. And then that's it. But it's just sort of like foreshadowing. So, like, what happens if you don't, like, if you, for some reason you came into the movie theater late or for whatever reason you missed that part and you didn't know that you were to be expecting that? Like, do you think that makes the movie scarier or more confusing without having that context of there's an alien involved in this movie? Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I completely agree, because still to this day, and I was watching it this morning before I even came over here, the original Jaws scares the hell out of me, even to this day. Even though the shark doesn't look real, it's the fact that the whole first 3/4 of that movie is just almost a concept of what's happening. There's something you can't see under the water eating people.
Right.
And even though you know it's a shark, not knowing how big it is, what it is, I mean, it is still terrifying to this day how they do it, the music and all that combined. So to your point, I think if we didn't see the spaceship, it would have added some. Is it a monster? What is it? You know,
and do you think, I wondered, like, I kept playing with that in my head going, okay, well, I'm assuming that they made that decision. I don't know if they always planned to do that or if they put that in at the last minute so that when things start going off the rails and getting away from, we're dealing with a weird drug cartel out in the woods and something else is happening, is that such a hard left turn if you haven't seen the spaceship that you're like, what is even going on? And then when you see the thing, you don't quite, it takes you a longer time, and so you're just confused.
Yeah.
Like, I assume that's why they did it,
Yep.
but do you think it could have worked without that first scene? Like, do you think it would have...
Yeah, I think it would have worked. I think it would have been fine.
What do you think, Michael?
I think they would have worked in somewhere, you know, that this thing is not, it had to have been not from this planet or something like that, because everybody on Earth knows that that's not a jungle jaguar. Like, that's something else.
Yeah.
You know?
It's got laser guns.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
which is still one of the coolest guns to this day. The little shoulder cannon.
Yeah, which is what she gives him in Alien vs.
I
Predator.
love that weapon. It's the coolest weapon.
One of the craziest things that ever happened to me was at my first Dragon Con, and I'm going up the escalators, you know, and it's
there's
like
a Predator there?
Well, no, what happened was I'm going up the escalator, and the person I was with was next to me, and she goes, and I went, what? And I looked down, and there was 3 red dots on my, and they were like, "Whoa," and I looked up, and there was these 2 Predators up there, and one of them was at the top of the railing, and he had his thing, and it would move with his, and he was on me, and he was just like, and I'm like, oh, and I was dressed like Indiana Jones, and I'm like, Indiana Jones isn't going to survive this. There's no way.
I will say, I love the cosplayers or costumers at Dragon Con who do the Predator thing.
They
because,
do a great job.
But also, were you there with us that year when the whole crew from was it Aliens?
Yeah, all
like,
the Marines.
All the Marines
yes.
are all chasing a xenomorph
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
the lobby of a hotel. They're like 1 or 2 xenomorphs in full costume running around with their
Right.
cool skittering thing, right? And they have a whole crew of the Marines coming in, like looking for them, and they kind of act out this whole skit, and you're kind of caught in the middle of it. And the whole lobby of the hotel breaks out into applause at the end when they kill it. And
It was almost like flash
amazing.
mobbing during a
It was
comic
so
convention.
great.
It was
Which is
weird.
very cool.
Yeah,
It's very cool.
but that is the definition of cosplay.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, right, but I mean in the greatest way.
Sure.
Demon Scythe Synthwave says Dark Horse comics are exactly why AVP was a great idea.
That's what I said, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's Michael right there.
I
We were
kind of
talking about
see
it earlier.
that, like, there are some cool concepts about it, but
Yeah, I just like the fact that in the 90s, a lot of independent comic companies were able to pick up some of these franchises and do interesting things with them. Dark Horse, as you know, also ran with the Star Wars license and did some really great things with that license before it got pulled into Mother Disney, as now Alien and Predator are part of Mother Disney. So these 2 franchises, in my estimation, are now on shaky ground for the future, because Disney's entire corporate personality is antithetical to these types of concepts. So I have no idea how these things are going to survive.
Well, the alien's going to get about the size of a poodle.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and be cute and running around and need to get home, and some kids are going to find it and help it get home.
Right.
And the Predator will be like King Poseidon, maybe, underwater.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
A World Made of Cardboard says, neutral question, where's Aaron?
Well, he's probably on the stream somewhere watching.
He's having to deal with some family things, and so he's not here.
We miss Aaron.
We miss Aaron. He will be back.
I think
in a future
we were
episode.
really missing Aaron back about 10 minutes ago.
Kieran says, Michael is very funny. He just hates many things.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And suddenly, and just like that, it becomes a meme. So, I have to bring up the last 2 Predator movies, because I don't think you guys have seen them.
We haven't. We haven't even brought up the other 2 Alien films either, really. Well, we brought up Alien 3.
Yes.
Okay, so
Which, horrible.
so let's talk about let's talk about the last 2 Predators. You've seen them.
Yes.
I own them. I have not quite perused them
I
yet.
didn't know you owned them.
They're in that set. They're in that.
Oh, and that whole set. Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
realize they had the
Yeah.
other 2
Yeah.
in there. Pretty horrible. Just gonna say it.
So we judge that right.
Yeah, don't waste your time. No,
Yeah.
the last Predator, it's kind of like AVP. There's certain scenes in it where you're like, this is awesome, and then it goes really weird, and you're like, this is really dumb, and then it's this is really awesome, and then it's really dumb again, and then it ends kind of weird and dumb with the whole suit thing. Yeah, and then the one before it where they're on the planet, that one is intriguing, but a little pointless, I guess. I think it just was. I don't know. I don't like movies where you pretty much know the people are going to die no matter what, and I don't care for that plot. That's
so
kind of
pretty
weird...
much Prometheus and the movie that came after Prometheus that both have the exact same plot structure as Alien, the original. So you know exactly what's going to happen.
Well, Prometheus, you didn't. The one,
but
after
it literally is beat for beat the same movie, though. They land on a planet, they go look for the thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's not even the same.
It's kind of the same. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's one reason I love it, because it really
They're
is confusing. Because there's more than one.
Yeah, but confusion just to be confusing.
No, but see, the problem is with Prometheus, you don't even get an alien.
No, I know.
It's not even there.
No.
It's
and
all
what
about
I love is that I watched I didn't watch it, and
it's
I'm
all about
so
the
happy.
engineers.
Yeah.
And the fact that David, the artificial life form, decides to use their technology to destroy all living things.
I feel like Ridley Scott went all the way up his own butt. All the way up. And I love Ridley Scott. Like, I really love his filmmaking. He's still an amazing director from the sense of the way a film looks and feels.
But what I find interesting is you talk about how much you like the mysteries. And there's so many mysteries in Prometheus, and that's one thing I think that kind of...
Well, there were a lot of mysteries in Inception, too, but it doesn't make any sense. It has to also make sense. Like, J.J. Abrams makes you have mysteries, but if you never have any payoff, then there's no point in having a mystery. Am I right?
Yeah, there's no point in having a mystery that doesn't have a payoff. Yes.
Just to, like, be confused. I mean, I can be confusing.
Oh, that is true.
And I will.
Oh, okay. So I got, you're going to do super chats? I'll let you do super chats.
I got several that I need to read, and then we'll do this. Okay. Master Son says, Melinda, I love you, but you are wrong.
Oh, no.
I don't have time to bleed. Taught me to be strong. We don't do this type of dirty work. Taught me to be honorable. Well, I don't know exactly what you mean by the fact that I'm wrong. I mean... I think it's totally fine for you to like the movie and to take things away from it, like learning to be strong, learning to be honorable, enjoying the film, just liking it as guilty pleasure. It doesn't really matter to me.
Take this pen.
I'm just saying that it is what it is. It's like, anyway, noted. I don't know what I'm supposed to say to that. Master Son also says, also dipping tobacco, or in my case, Big League Chew, taught me to be a sexual tyrannosaurus. Fight me.
I've met Master Son in person. I'm not fighting you, dude. Like I mean, look.
I don't want to fight you either because I think you're probably pretty strong. But, yeah.
Yeah.
That Jesse Ventura's comments at the beginning of that are problematic. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know if I would. Anyway, Bradshaw Studio says The Predator was in a video game called Tom Clancy's
Wildlands, which I know there's a whole series of Tom Clancy video games. After Rainbow Six, I didn't really play many of them, so I've kind of lost touch. But yeah, I'm aware that they've put a lot of in-jokes into some of those games.
Fred says, I wonder if Michael and Melinda are having problems. We're not having problems. We're just joking around.
We're just joking around. You know, I keep forgetting.
This is how we. This is how we are.
I'm sure they're joking. As well.
Yeah.
The costumes look amazing. Yeah, Wilson, we need to talk about the costumes at some point and the whole Jean-Claude Van Damme thing, which somebody brought up earlier. But as I'm sure a lot of you know, Jean-Claude was originally going to be the Predator in the film, like in the suit. Because they thought he could do a lot of the movements in a way because he does the martial arts and all of that kind of stuff, which I get why they would do that. And I almost feel like it works having him be a little...
Isn't he really short, though?
Yeah, but
he's short, but it doesn't matter because they actually make the Predator larger when you watch how they did the effect.
The anamorphic
effects
they did.
So what's funny is like he was walking around in the woods like with this red costume on that looked really lame.
It looked like a mantis. It looked like an insect.
But they
Oh,
were
I do
basically
remember this.
they
Oh
were
my
basically
gosh, yeah, I
just
do
doing
remember
that so that they would be able
Yeah.
to like make him invisible later. But apparently, some people have speculated that JCVD thought that that's what it was going to look like
No,
in the movie,
it was
and
the
he
original.
was like,
it was the original design of the.
yeah, but he thought it was going to be red,
Red, right,
and it's
yeah,
not.
right.
Like it was red because the trees were green, so it helped them to like
Right. Yeah.
kind of like Luke's lightsaber being green instead of blue in
Blue,
Jedi.
Yes. Same thing.
Same idea.
Right.
MMA Panda says, Michael, have you played Alien Isolation for console or PC?
I have heard how great that game is. I've heard how great Alien Isolation is, but I have not played it yet. But I now have a supercomputer, thanks to Tim, that could totally play that game.
Do you want to play a game?
Yeah.
Scott says, I get that it may not have been age appropriate, but I would have loved to see a fully accessorized G.I. Joe style toy line built around the U.S. Colonial Marines. What a missed opportunity.
Well, Scott,
Agreed.
funny you bring that up
Yeah.
because in 1996, Kenner did a commemorative line for the 10th anniversary of Aliens, and it was called Aliens versus Marines. And each one was an alien versus one of the Marines. And what they did was they recolored to more as best they could. It was the pre-existing sculpts from the Aliens original figure line, but they colored them and painted them more accurately to the movie Aliens with the green on green look. And so
I didn't even know that was out there.
yeah, so you can buy those, and they when you put them together in a group and you don't use. Here's the other problem. You've got to buy like 15 Vasquez's just to get pulse rifles because she's the only one that came with a pulse rifle. But other than that, if you can get the group together, it actually looks pretty close. So
Juan says, Aaron will return and retroblasting is forever. Jesus says, Aaron versus Tim, who would win? I don't know. That sounds terrifying.
It depends on what you're talking about.
Okay.
Normally me. Let me just throw that out there.
Scuba Pete says Aaron oddly came up with a family emergency when he heard the topic.
yeah.
Melinda, pause it and discuss. If instead of Ilya probe, V'ger had deposited a xenomorph on the Enterprise and sent in half of TMP.
Well, Melinda, as we've mentioned on the live streams before, Melinda does have a penchant for late 70s cinematic sci-fi. And that extends over into Blade Runner.
Blade Runner and 2001, which also feels like it has an alien feel
late
to
60s.
it. Late 1968, but I'm just saying.
She likes the ponderous, atmospheric science fiction of that time.
Which isn't really made now.
Do you like Andromeda Strain from then?
Haven't seen it.
Oh. Well. Looks like I've failed as a husband. And
Michael.
I know, within a few weeks.
I don't know that I would
Michael.
say that.
Michael.
Wouldn't say that.
I'm so disappointed.
I know. I'm sorry.
Why is it up to him?
It's up to me. It is.
Robert says,
I'm going to own this one.
Robert says, Melinda, I agree with your thoughts on Alien. The writing and level and quality of actors in that movie make it a classic. Yeah, I mean, I think the cast, to be fair, I think the cast in both Alien and Predator is both really, really well done. The casting, I mean, I don't think I would recast one person in Predator.
Right.
Because they are all just exactly who needs to be in the film. And Alien, same thing. Like, I love seeing the diversity of different types. And I think, that's the, her name went out of my head, lead character.
Ripley.
Sigourney Weaver's
Ripley.
first movie role, she knocks it out of the park. Mm-hmm. I mean, she really nailed it. So, Bradshaw Studio says the Predator was in the Tom Clancy video game.
Mm-hmm.
Demon Scythe Synthwave says Dark Horse's The Thing sequel, I think comics were incredible too. Art was sublime and was a logical sequel to the movie. DH were the best before Disney.
They were. They really were. Dark Horse was a great licensor for extending these universes. Absolutely. What's so funny now?
Trent says, Melinda needs her own show where Melinda can be the Melinda that we all know and love. How about a metal music video show, Melinda, Mistress of the Night, or Melinda's Mind Unraveling Metal?
Actually, one of those might be one of Michael's fantasies, Melinda of the Night.
Maybe just Melinda's Mind Unraveling is probably where it needs to be. these days I feel like my mind is just slowly like
Leaving.
fraying out. Jody says, wow, it's a large super chat. And he says, cause 1, Michael ain't a hater. He's just critical. And 2, we miss Aaron. And 3, in a super good mood.
Well, we're glad you're in a good mood, Jody. That's great. Thank you for the super chat. That's very kind of you.
Yes.
Yeah, very kind.
The question that was... Oh, there's another one.
Gojatron says, both franchises are great examples of diminishing returns.
Yes, I still say both these franchises were 2 and done. I feel like Alien,
Yeah.
Aliens, Predator, Predator 2...
I feel like, yeah.
Agreed.
Because everything else has been an attempt to claw a hole in sand, and it just doesn't work.
And what's bad is everybody still gets excited when they announce a new one. Like we didn't learn our lesson from the last time.
Well, who's everybody? Because every time they announce one, I'm like, eh.
Well, you do, yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, just I see it, Facebook and everybody's like, oh, new one.
I saw Alien Resurrection in the theater.
Yeah.
I was excited to go,
Yeah.
and I was like, aw.
Let me go ahead and say that the only one I've ever seen in theater is the original Predator. I haven't watched
Really?
any of these in theater other than that.
That
You're
would
a
be a
wise
fun
man.
thing to see. And that would be a fun one to see in the theater.
Well, I
mean-
would have liked to have seen Aliens in the theater. I wish I had went to see that.
And
but
by the way, I love the original Alien, but Aliens is also really strong. So
Love
I
that
wasn't
one.
trying to put that movie
They
down.
feel
at all.
like they're in the same universe.
They do,
Yes.
but it's nice that they do different things.
Yeah.
Like it's not just a rehash. They really, anyway.
well, it's the fact that it's not one anymore. All of a sudden, your worst nightmare comes true. What
Right.
do you mean, colony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
she's
You know,
like,
the
what
other
are you
thing-
talking about?
The
Yeah.
other thing I love about that movie is that Jones lives.
Yes.
The cat. Yes.
cat.
Now,
The most important part of a movie is to not kill the animal.
I think it's interesting that Bill Paxton's best performance is in Aliens, and his worst performance is in Predator 2.
You didn't like him in Twister?
I think someone screaming "Game over, man."
No,
and that
he's
being
got a
your,
lot of
and
good...
that being your best performance.
No, he's got
is
a lot of good
sad.
line reading. For some reason, his performance overall was elevated in that movie by, I assume, James Cameron and the type of role he was given. But like when you watch him in that movie versus Predator 2, which was 4 years later, you're going, where did your acting ability go? Like you really do sell Hudson really well.
He does.
And then
He does.
in Predator 2, it's like, I'm the Lone Ranger. And you're just like, I just want to beat you with a mallet. Like,
He was
Well-
really bad in Predator too.
Yeah.
He was
My
very well. That's why we
man,
were talking
he
about the
was-
mixture of casting.
right.
Glover was so good, and
I think some of it was the direction and the writing. Like I don't completely
there's-
blame him, but he's still just.
well, there's some empty things. Like I said, the reporter just goes nowhere, right?
Yeah,
And
there's
that
a
was
lot
one
of
the things
stuff like
just,
that.
It kind of just stops, and all of the different
Yeah.
cartels, it just kind of dead ended with the Predator hunting them. It didn't continue. Like it would have been interesting to see all of them team together.
It's an interesting juxtaposition to look at the ability to accept the fact that the Predator exists between what is Carl Weathers' character's name?
Dylan.
Dylan in the first film. Because I'm just saying because he had such a hard time believing it. He kept denying it no matter how much evidence got put in front of him. Versus Danny Glover was just like, yeah, something weird's going on here. It's definitely an alien. Like, it's aliens. Like, he was like jumping on that. Like, I just think that's funny to kind of see that juxtaposition.
Well, Danny Glover's character is a character who's been in the suck for so long, he's seen it all.
Yeah.
And so he's just like, look, I'm willing to accept this immediately if we can solve this problem. Let's just do this. Yeah.
Tom Michael says, hey, RetroBlasting, love your Saturday show.
Then.
Thought I'd let you know Alien was the first movie that actually made me jump in my seat when the alien attacks the captain in the duck way.
Yeah,
way.
that one was a little bit startling when he comes down
P.S.
the ladder.
Uh-huh.
he
P.S.
turns
The
and it's
Star
like,
Wars thing. The Star Wars thing was.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. I assume you mean the Star Wars live stream we did last Saturday about the different sequels. So, yeah.
Brian Dillingham says, have you seen Locker Toys, Predator, and RoboCop toys?
I haven't seen those, Brian. I was really excited. I was telling Tim when he got here today to find out that last year NECA had done these arcade game-based Alien versus Predator, which, if I'm going to be kitschy and honest, I get the most excited about both these franchises when you're talking about the 94 arcade game. I just love the 94 arcade game.
Well, that brings up an interesting question.
I'm bracing for impact.
Well, no, I'm not Melinda. Come on. I'm just kidding. I swear. So, would it have made sense to bring RoboCop into?
Funny you should say that. Because at the same time that they were doing Aliens versus Predator, at the same time they were doing Aliens.
I can't see anything that they're looking at, so I don't know.
At the same time they were doing Aliens versus Predator, they were also pushing in licensed fiction RoboCop versus Terminator.
Yes.
So it seems like those 2 or 4 franchises kind of paired off and built off one another. And I think RoboCop would have been really. Didn't they do a RoboCop versus Predator at one point?
I think they did RoboCop versus Aliens.
Maybe.
I think.
Because I can see him versus Predator. I can see him versus
it
Predator.
Seems like they're in the same universe.
Yeah. I can see that really easily. And bringing back the whole Bill Paxton thing, he set a record in cinema history. He's the only actor to have been killed by a Terminator, an Alien, and a Predator. I don't know.
And that tells you something about Bill Paxton. He really pisses off really powerful people.
He did.
I love his little moment in Terminator.
Yeah.
What's wrong with this picture? Naked Arnold's walking up to him.
Master Son 42 says, I love you all and I'm smiling. I love Mel and her no fear of saying her opinion. Love it. So cool. You know who I love in Terminator?
Who?
Brian Thompson. Brian Thompson.
Isn't he in like the flash forwards to the future? Where is Brian?
He's standing there with Bill Paxton. He's the other
Yeah,
guy.
Oh, that's right.
He's the
That's
other guy.
right. That's right.
It was his first movie role.
That's right. Okay.
Nameless number 2.
Yeah.
And then he was in Cobra.
Yes, he was in Cobra.
So he worked with both Schwarzenegger and then Stallone. So pretty cool. Jody says, "'Cause Tim got you away from Mac."
Oh, the Macintosh. Yeah, you're talking about the computer.
Yeah.
Well, but the Mac thing was a detour because of where I worked before. I was always a PC guy. I've had every generation of consumer PC forever since the 90s. Well, since this video game came out in arcades. It was an Acer.
That Junkman says, "Good show and topic. I never seen more than the first Predator, but that's okay with me. Now gotta go edit. Have fun." So thank you for the super chat.
Junkman. Appreciate it.
Let's see. Oh yeah, Brian Thompson was a good Klingon in TNG. Brian Thompson has been a lot of really cool things. I love him as the alien bounty hunter in the X-Files. I think he's perfectly cast for that. We haven't talked about him specifically, but I love Lance Henriksen. And honestly, aside from the lead female character in AVP, I really feel like I loved that they did include him, even though it's kind of confusing and weird.
Well, yeah, the whole implication in the AVP movie is that the robot in Aliens is modeled after him
because he's Wayland,
right?
Or he's not Wayland. He was the other one, right? Or was
he's Wayland.
He's Wayland.
And then
yeah.
And Portland 182 points out that Lance Henriksen dies in Terminator, Alien 3, and Alien vs. Predator. So yeah, that's true.
That's true too. Okay, well maybe there are 2 people. Well, then you know what? Then that means the internet is wrong, and the internet duped me. So thank you for letting me know that.
In the movies, Lance Henriksen was never killed by a xenomorph. So.
Oh, that ha 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 ha! All right, I'm still on top. All right, here we go. Oh, I gotta tell you that. So we're watching Predator 2 last night, right? And okay, so we're sitting there, and it's the part toward the end where he goes falling through the apartment window into the bathroom of that apartment, and he starts like mixing up the ceramic and stuff.
Yes.
And then you get the establishing shot inside the apartment, and you hear Alex Trebek on a TV somewhere.
Oh yeah, this is.
And he's like, in 1190 or 1190 whatever, he's like, this king married Berengaria in Cyprus, who became the Queen of England for 8 years. And I went, who is Richard the Lionheart? And Melinda looks over at me and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I was playing Jeopardy. I was playing Jeopardy. I knew the answer.
Which we never get to hear the answer in the film.
I
but
was
I'm
right.
Sure,
I
he's
am right.
right.
I am right.
I have no doubt. Because
I was very excited.
He
I always
was,
like it when the alien mixes his stuff up and then like.
Oh, I know.
His magical gooey paste.
His blue jello.
His blue jello. And he's like.
Michael started making comments about that later when we were watching AVP. He was like, towards the end, and he's all skewered and he's laying there on the ice, and you're like, just mix up some of that blue ceramic.
Yeah, I was wondering that.
There.
I'm like, where's the blue jello stuff?
Where's the jello? There's always room for jello.
And I love it how he just knows what to grab and what it's made out of, even though his vision is completely infrared. Like, it's like, how do you know that this stuff on another planet will make...
Maybe
also
his
love
chemical just takes the base out of something.
I guess spackle vision. Like
I also love the fact that, like, much like in X-Files Fight the Future, there happens to be a snowcat sitting there right at the end of all the action after the world blows up in AVP. It's like there's little working, still running with the lights on after all this crap, hasn't run out of gas, battery's not dead even though it's probably like 80 below, and let me tell you, batteries don't live long at 80 below. I know from personal experience. So I'm just saying, really impressive. In both of those films, that's the conceit, is that that's how she's able to survive. Because you're sitting there going, okay, this entire thing, all of the supplies, even your jacket is gone, and you're in Antarctica, and you're alone, and you have no way to communicate, and there's just a snowcat. And you're like, good luck.
Yeah.
And then she dies like, 12 hours later.
Like,
freezes to death on the tundra.
It's like, you can't give me a lift back to wherever?
Right? They're like, here you go. Here's a stick. It's like, I could really use a coat. If you got anything in a parka, that would be nice. A World Made of Cardboard says, I just did a web search and found a Dark Horse comic, Aliens versus Predators versus Terminator.
That's a trifecta.
That sounds really convoluted, but interesting, I guess.
Sounds like one of those tabletop games.
Yeah.
It sounds like it would be a good comic book, not a good movie.
Yes.
That's true.
You're probably right.
That's true.
Gojatron says the list of Aliens Predator comics crossovers is long and ridiculous and includes Batman, Superman, Vampirella, Judge Dredd, Star Trek, TNG, and Archie.
Yes.
Wow.
It does.
That is...
Aliens versus Predator versus Archie?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. I think it's just Aliens and Archie, wasn't it? I don't
I'm
think
just
it was
trying to
Alien
visualize
versus Predator.
Jughead being like, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Wow.
Just saying.
Have you seen, what's the name of that show? Riverdale? River something?
There is a Riverdale, but I've never watched it.
It's
Those teenage angst things.
It's weird. All right.
Is it an alien thing?
No, it's not supernatural.
Oh, okay. They're just killing each other or something?
It's sort of like Twin Peaks if it were set in the Archieverse.
Wildstar says Archie only takes on Predator, not the aliens. Well, at least now he has a fighting chance.
I mean, that's true. Peter Vinkman says, Melinda, who is your preferred movie heroine, Nancy Thompson of Elm Street or Ripley in Alien? Man, that's a really hard question, man.
Thank you, Peter Venkman. Thank you.
God, they're very similar characters, actually. I just don't want to pick. I don't want to choose.
I assume Wilson's referring to the Archie thing. He says, "Get to the jalopy." Go.
All right, so I'm going to scroll back up here. We've got a ton of other questions that I'm going to get through.
Kal-El48 says, I want to make sure you got the donation. That's more important to me than public. Cal, did you, if you sent something, we weren't able to get the mail today from the post office, if that's what you're referring to. If it's something else like a super chat that you think we missed, let us know. But we weren't able to pick up the mail today, so we'll be picking it up for next week's live stream.
Yeah. Kenny Long says, good afternoon, RetroBlasting family. Melinda, did you and Michael get my message yesterday? I sent it on the Patreon page, so to all of you, been really tough last few weeks.
Yes, Kenny, I did get that. I was setting up for this, and I got it in the evening, and I plan to respond to you today, but yeah, I cannot imagine what you're going through right now, but just know that you're in our thoughts. But I'll be responding to you today.
All right. So This says, what would Melinda rather watch, Rambo First Blood or The Heathers?
We missed a super chat, so we got to go back and find a super chat from Kal-El. Keep going. Keep going.
I don't think I missed one. I don't think I missed one.
Let's see. Master Son, Tom Michael, Gojatron, Gen X Toys. Yeah, we're going back here. We're not seeing it. Are you sure it went through?
I don't think he said we missed a super chat.
Well, that's what someone else is saying. Someone else is saying he's referring to a super chat.
Who is?
Cal-L48.
I don't
We're
see
not
one.
seeing we're not
Yeah,
seeing the super
sorry.
chat on our end.
I
So,
can only go back so far, but
so
before
just,
it kind of
just
blocks
post
me out.
whatever you posted in the super chat as a normal comment, and we'll watch for it and we'll read it. But it's not on our not on our dashboard.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it, so...
You know, I find it interesting. We're not hearing as much about some of the novelizations of some of these properties on the show that I thought we would hear today.
Yeah, I mean... Jody says, lesson learned, don't go to the post office on a Saturday, just jesting.
No, this Saturday was a weird thing.
Yeah, this is something else. And someone said it was because people are all worried that the post office is going to be really slow, and so they're already sending all their Christmas presents this weekend.
Yeah, because I did notice toilet paper is missing again.
Again?
I know, but
Yes.
it's like, I guess more people
don't
are
know
having to
why.
send Christmas presents this year, but...
Looks
I mean,
like I'm hopping back in the shower after every trip to the commode.
Are that many people, like, really... like already done with their Christmas shopping that they're sending, like...
I don't know. I haven't even started. Of course, I just give cash to my kids. They love that. So, you know.
Well, while we're sort of regrouping here, I'm going to try this again, all right?
Okay.
So, if there's one thing that I was not enthralled by when I was growing up watching Predator and Aliens, because I did watch the first Predator and the second Aliens a lot as a teenager. Like, they were really fun movies. And, of course, I watched them again in college and all that kind of stuff, and I've always bought them on the latest format. But I got to say, the toys, more so with Predator, less so with Aliens, but still having this problem, these Kenner toy lines did not interest me in the slightest growing up. And part of it had to do with the fact that, like we've talked about, the whole joke with the Kenner Batman lines of the 90s where it was just a billion Batmans all recolored. That's what this is. It's just 50 different versions of the Predator or the alien xenomorphs that don't really exist. And they just sell them as these action figures that just look like, you know, overthought chunks of plastic with some arms.
St. Patrick's Day alien.
Yeah.
Birthday alien.
That's
So it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, is what
Yes.
you're saying.
yeah.
It's
Like they
Batman
just start doing
was,
weird, like,
Yeah.
spin-offs.
Right. Like some of this stuff actually makes sense. Like the Queen Hive. I don't mind how the Ripley character looks. I think she looks pretty good. The Power Loader looks great. But a lot of these aliens, it's like Rhino alien, Flying Alien Queen, like Panther alien. It's like, what? Snake alien.
Yeah, that one was never.
I would cry if I was given that for Christmas or a birthday.
Wow. Wow.
Just saying. Look, if I cried over Squid Head, and I did, I would cry over that.
Kenny Long says director's cut of
cried over
Aliens
Squid
Head?
is
I did.
far
Like a
better
little-
than the theatrical, I feel. And Kenny, that's a good point. You know, the director's cut, which has an additional, I think it's around 16 minutes added back into it. It shows all of the footage with Ripley finding out about her daughter that has died. It shows a lot more context stuff. It shows Newt with her family before they all, you know.
It also shows the auto gun sequence, which I thought was cool, where they set up the automated robot blasters and
Yeah. So, I mean, I think most people agree that the director's cut, that longer version, is the one that most people watch more often than the theatrical cut.
Which
But
is
I can-
interesting.
I can understand, like, I don't know, does it, on the first viewing in the theater, would you need all of that information? Because, I mean, think about, like, from the studio's perspective, I understand why they cut it out, because, like, think how many more airings or showings you could get in when you cut off 15 minutes of a movie, you know?
Very true.
We've learned a lot about that in recent years, certainly. Monkey Boys gives us a super chat and says, just a little love.
Here's Kal-El's comment.
He says, I was just saying I appreciated Melinda's insights into the Alien movies. I may have read that. I literally can only scroll up a certain amount, so I can't. I've gone all the way back up, and I did not see your comment, so I apologize if I didn't read it. But thank you, Kal-El, for the comment. Scott says, if they said why Burke thinks the aliens would be valuable enough to... I think they said why Burke thinks the aliens would be valuable enough to kill for. The xenomorphs seem like they'd be fantastic for terrorists, but I can't see the actual military value.
Yeah, because you're talking about a weapon you can't control once you let it out. So you're asking for it to turn back on you and murder you, you know?
That's what I never understood about the whole Paul Reiser character in Aliens. It's like, what are you thinking? Like, what are you thinking, dude? Like, just in terms of like what that character's goal was, like, how are you planning to implement that?
He's like the people that we work for. Like,
well,
he's also like the guy. Oh God, what movie was that we watched? That was like a superhero movie where it was Venom. Do you remember in Venom where they like are trying to like contain the Venom character?
Oh, the aliens?
They've got them all in these like rooms, and it's like, you're not gonna be able to contain this. Like, what are you doing? You're an idiot. Like, oh my God, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's flipping again. Jody says, agree on the toys, especially Predators. Looking for a good figure, but all you find is tons and tons of variations, including NECA. If anyone can recommend me a really, really good Predator figure, I'm listening.
Well, not to be biased, Jody, but I must say that if you if you don't have a problem with NECA as far as like, you know, you got to be careful with their joints when you first open them up and stuff, because some of these NECA figures can be brittle. I get that. I don't buy a lot of modern, as you know. But these two Predators from the arcade game Alien vs. Predator line, the Warrior and the Hunter, I think they look great. And I think they look quintessentially Predator-like. On the other hand, this, if you want vintage, this 2-pack that they came out with from Kenner of Aliens vs. Predator, the 2-pack has a very quintessential Predator figure with it. He has the mask that you can take on and off. He's got, you know, sort of a staff weapon, and he's got kind of a little blaster thing, and he's got his shoulder blaster molded onto his shoulder pad. I think he looks great as a vintage figure. I really like these. I know that NECA's come out with movie versions of these, which are now worth a fortune. Try finding Dutch that looks like Arnold in this line and not pay $175 for him. Same scale. The Predator's the same way. I'm not as into the Predator from the movie in action figure form. I think he kind of looks muddy. Like, he just looks like... These, I think, look really crisp and clean. I really like them. That's my opinion. Take it or leave it.
Well, speaking of design, I think we have to talk about Giger and his amazing art, which is part of the reason that I think Alien and Aliens just in general has really... It sort of leveled it up. Like, Ridley Scott's direction as well as that art is just so...
Creepy?
It's so creepy and so unique and different from anything we've ever seen before. And I was sort of watching some behind-the-scenes stuff about the original script that had been written prior to Ridley Scott ever even being hired. And the guy, I can't remember his name. He's got a really straightforward name, like Scott or something like that, his last name. But he had written the script and had been looking for someone to come in and direct it. And during that time period, that's when he came across the artwork of Giger and was like, wow, this is exactly what I'm envisioning for this alien thing. And I think that really made the movie. Like, it's sort of one of the elements of the films that like sets it like above so many other things that were coming out around that time. And, you know, Star Wars was probably the reason that Fox decided to go ahead and make the franchise, because I think it had been sitting around in their movies that they could make vault for a while. But then after the success in 77 of Star Wars, you know, it's what, 79 that Alien came out?
Yeah.
You know, so they're like, oh, well, space stuff is really cool, and let's do this. And so it's funny because when you think about like Star Wars comparing it to like Alien, they couldn't be more different types of films. You know what I mean? But they're like...
But they didn't know that up front, and so Kenner then licenses Alien in 79, makes the big thing, and starts planning action figures, and then they're like, oh wait, this is rated R and it's horror. Oh no! Like
Because they all just did the thing that you always talk about, which is what do we have that we can go out there with?
right.
Well, and
And,
I avoided Alien because it was a horror movie.
Yeah, me too.
I don't like
So
horror
do you
movies.
think of it as a horror movie?
Alien? Yes.
Yeah.
I do think of it as a horror movie, but and I'm just not big into horror movies. There's some I really do like, but when I watched Aliens,
Yeah.
I was like,
It's a lot more
oh.
accessible.
Yeah, I was
But
like, oh,
see,
this is more sci-fi.
that's what I find funny about you liking Prometheus, because Prometheus is much more sci-fi horror than it is sci-fi action.
See, I didn't find it scary at all, though. Like,
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't find it scary either. I found it stupid. But you know, I'm just saying, like your love
Now
and penchant.
who's being controversial?
I'm not. I'm just saying, no. Not liking Prometheus is not controversial.
no, trust me, there's very few people that care about Prometheus.
But my point in saying that is, it doesn't have a lot of or anything in it. It's more of a atmosphere.
Well,
piece.
but there is a lot of like. I love the ship.
Yeah.
The ship, I think, is one of the most beautiful ships ever.
Mm-hmm.
I love the interior of the ship and how it worked, their vehicles, and then I like them finding, the whole thinking the aliens looked like they did in the chair,
Right.
and then they were like, "Oh, that's a helmet," and they took the helmet off. And I like those kinds of things. I thought they were kind of interesting.
Okay.
So
Just a kid from Brooklyn says, I worked at Toys R Us when those Kenner Aliens toys came out, and I wouldn't even waste the effort to steal them. I did steal many Toy Biz X-Men, though. Wow.
remind me to tell you about some of my work things I did when I was younger in the after show.
Miscreants.
Wilson Tortosa says, Paul Reiser
Whatever.
was great as Burke. He played the perfect company man, and you can really hate him. Yeah, he did an excellent job, and he's one of those people that you look at him and go, really? They cast this comedian? But he did a great job. Like, I wasn't insulting Paul Reiser. I was talking more about the character and just, like, the short-sightedness
The
of what he was
business
trying.
guy.
Yeah.
He almost should have had a tie on walking next to Marines with guns.
Right.
You know, and I'm
Yeah,
sitting
yeah.
here.
It's
He
ridiculous.
was wearing a tie in the beginning of the
Yeah.
He
movie.
was, yeah.
And I love-
And that big coat, like
well,
the big...
the coat was the funny part was it was like
with the
It's so
collar,
funny you
like,
say
all
that.
popped up.
it was a suit jacket, but it had a
had a pop
it had a little like Dr. No collar.
It did.
on
No,
the thing.
me and Michael were laughing about this actually trying to get into the post office. What was it we were saying about the 80s? And I said, well, the 80s we weren't known for being fashion forward.
Yeah, that's
And I
true.
was like, and then I went shoulder pads.
I mean,
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
you seen the 90s fashion? Because it makes the 80s look like the best decade of
Yeah.
all.
well, I mean,
I mean,
Parachute
the
pants.
90s.
parachute pants.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun,
Um,
dun, dun.
A World Made of Cardboard says, those scenes were in the director's cut of Aliens, ? When I saw the movie VHS, I remember those scenes.
My understanding is that there was
I
once
think
the
it came out with the VHS. Yeah.
once the laser disc came out of the special edition of Aliens a few years later, they did bring that out on a clamshell VHS in the Fox lineup, I think.
But
Don't quote me.
before that, I know for a fact they played it endlessly on HBO.
The
and
extended
it was not.
version?
No, it was
Yeah.
not the
It
extended
was not
version.
the extended version.
It
Right.
didn't have any of that in it.
Right.
I don't know. I will say that I feel fairly confident because this morning, to refresh my memory, it's been a little while since I've seen Alien or Aliens, so I watched the great Oliver Harper's videos as a quick refresh to sort of go back through a lot of the Aliens movies, all the way through the third Alien movie, which I had kind of forgotten. And I also, we talked about this at length, but the third Alien movie, if you don't know, was just a production nightmare, and it's really interesting, almost like Apocalypse Now, or one of those movies where it was just like the production was
Lone
such
Ranger.
a, cluster, you know what I mean? Like, it was just a real nightmare. So it's fascinating to watch the behind-the-scenes documentary, but Oliver Harper kind of goes through it more quickly and sort of summarizes the plot of the movies and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, he does a great job with his channel. Next one I saw, then there was another one. Okay, Monkey Boy says, when I was younger, I found Aliens to be scarier than Alien just because there were so many xenomorphs in the sequel.
Yeah,
buy that.
yeah.
I buy that,
It
definitely.
feels like an unstoppable swarm for sure. I mean, that one shot where he sticks his head up through the ceiling tiles.
Oh yeah,
Shines
and he's
his
shining there like
flashlight.
a ton of them
Yeah.
coming down.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
like, ah! You know
but
that
when you see the Queen for the 1st
Uh-huh.
time, you're just like, oh my god!
yeah.
You're like this huge thing.
No.
Oh yeah, no, it's super scary, and I think
Especially the sound she makes. That
Yeah.
that
that
is
is
just
the
like, oh god.
that is the funniest thing that comedian Dane Cook ever did. Did you ever see his alien impression?
I don't think so.
Where he's sitting there and he's like, "Do you remember that?" He's like, and he's got like a water bottle on stage, and he's like, they're all wet, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, if you ran into that on the subway, you wouldn't mess with me. It was easily the funniest thing Dane Cook has ever done is his alien impression.
This is true.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to pull this up.
Oh
me
yeah,
later.
it's good.
I think both of the films are very, very scary, and I mean, again, I think it's just a matter of personal taste, which one you like. So it's going to just reflect more about you than the film. Both of them are extremely well-made films. James Cameron did a great job with the second one. I don't know. I think they're really good. And to someone else's point, someone talks about, oh God, his name just went out of my head. The
Michael
director,
Biehn?
the director from the third Alien movie.
David Fincher.
David Fincher.
Yeah.
Not his fault. Like, no, definitely that the cluster that was that movie was definitely not his fault. They were literally rewriting the movie as they were making it, and he was not looped in on that, and he was just fighting an uphill battle the whole way.
Well, it's like you said it earlier. Like, it was one of the first times you saw one come out and kind of defend themselves and went, "It wasn't me."
Oh yeah, that was. There was this whole thing.
Don't put your fingers here.
Yeah, there was this whole thing about Prometheus where the internet tried to blame Damon Lindelof, which I'm not a fan of the guy, but I'm an objective person, and they were saying that Damon Lindelof is responsible for why Prometheus became a trilogy and not a standalone prequel. That now is very confused because, quote, Damon then left the franchise after the first movie and didn't do the other two, so he left the everybody without a chair when the music stopped. And Damon Lindelof actually pushed back in the media and said, no, Ridley and everybody were talking about turning this into a trilogy in midstream as they were producing Prometheus. And then Ridley came out and said, yeah, it wasn't just Damon. I also thought maybe this would be great to have as a trilogy. And so, like, it's interesting how, the pushback against, like, I don't like Damon Lindelof as a writer. I don't like him as a creative, but he wasn't solely responsible for what happened with this new Alien franchise. Like, he's not the smoking gun.
Well, speaking of franchises and the way that the sequels and all these things have rolled out, a lot of times when you have different directors taking over, it can be good or really bad. So in the case of, you've got Ridley Scott doing the first Alien movie, and then you've got James Cameron coming in and doing Aliens. And to me, it feels like James Cameron had a lot of respect for what Ridley Scott had done. And so he built on that world, and he didn't undo anything. And he made a movie that was very cohesive with the first one, so that it worked really well. And when you compare and contrast that with something like, I don't know, Star Wars, the sequel trilogy, it's just interesting to see how, like, you almost have a director coming in who almost feels like they have contempt for the whole thing, and they're like, I'm just gonna do my own thing, and it's just sort of like what that does to a sequence of films when you're sitting down to, like, watch them later. It's just sort of like, ew.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking to you, Rian Johnson.
Abrams Trek. Yeah.
Abrams Trek.
I believe that's called the Kelvin timeline.
Oh my god.
I believe that's called the Kelvin timeline.
It's called crap time.
It's called Crap Time.
Yes.
Map Film Productions says, considering you like late 70s slower-paced movies, is it wrong to assume you like Mad Max better than Mad Max 2?
The Road Warrior.
Oh, you're talking about my franchise. I love that franchise.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
She does not.
She does not like Mad Max.
I don't like Mad Max.
Because to her, that's not science fiction in a ponderous kind of reflective way. That's more like Predator-ish type movie, isn't it? Like, to you. Like, I don't know.
I honestly saw Mad Max, but it was very hard to watch, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It feels like that first movie has some kind of rapey stuff in it. Am I right about that?
A little bit. It's
I
Yeah,
can't.
it's a weird.
I can't watch that.
But in all fairness, with Mad Max, it was supposed to be a one and done.
Right.
Like, I mean,
Well, a lot of
creators,
movies are
writers,
like
and all-
that.
No, they were like
Star
no, I mean,
Wars.
You ever
he
seen
was
Highlander?
Like, hey,
Yeah.
we weren't gonna do anything else, but then they did, and I to this day I love all the Mad Max. I don't know that there's one I don't like. Even the new one.
Yeah,
Fury
it's
Road
sort of like
is-
I can't watch that one either. Like I already know. Like I'll read ahead and just make sure. Like I don't want to have to sit there and deal with that. So I mean, that's just I can't objectively judge a movie like that. So it's just not my thing. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It just is
George
not my
Aitken says Silent Running is a good slow burn movie. We have that in the library here, the movie library, and we've been meaning to watch it. You know, the Bruce Dern Silent Running movie. We're going to at some point soon. That is definitely 70s science fiction. Yeah, we're gonna watch that.
So Brian says Alien 79 and the original Blade Runner and as well as the remake recently were yawn city for me. I literally fell asleep in these movies while watching them. So me and you, Brian, really can't hang out and watch movies together because those are my favorite
I got you,
movies.
Brian.
Like
I gotcha. I'm with you.
to
on
me,
that.
like I need that time to think about what I'm seeing because I want to see something that makes me think, but then I need the time to do the thinking while the movie's happening because otherwise I have to watch a movie about 4 times before I can thoroughly process what I'm seeing. So if it's just like, it's so dense, there's so much happening in every shot, like, you know, like in the prequels, it's too much for me and I just kind of glaze over and zone out. That's just me. Like, I'm not saying
that's
I'm
the-
right. I'm just saying that's me.
I like the pew pew.
I don't like the
That's
pew-pew.
interesting how there's 3 different takes on that, like meaning how you process a movie. So like you want something slower that you can process at your own pace. You don't have a problem with the speed, and you don't want to get into a lot of ponderous stuff for the most part, with
Correct.
exceptions,
Yep.
right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can take it at any speed, but I'm going to be picking it apart no matter how fast or slow it's going. And if it don't make sense, it doesn't get by me. You know, like there are slow movies I don't like, and there are fast movies I don't like.
Who run Bada Town?
You know, I watched that recently for the first time.
What?
Yeah, I've never seen it before.
Blast-a-master.
But I
saw it back
Let
in
me
the
just
day.
go ahead and tell you, Tina Turner in the metal dress is one of my favorite bad guys ever because she's awesome. So
Keith says, I'm seeing a pattern with Melinda. She only likes movies with strong women characters and doesn't like movies with weak women being taken advantage of, hence why she doesn't like Arnold because he slept with his nanny.
Well, I don't know. I think you know what? Tim and I have a theory. We kind of brought it up on the live stream just now, but I think Melinda's thing about Arnold goes back to before that was ever a thing. I think she was a Stallone aficionado, and Arnold was the Pepsi to Stallone's Coke. And she just said, I've chosen a side, and that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Well, I can tell you a little more. That's not wrong.
Aha.
I will, but I will also say,
you heard it. It's on film.
especially when I was younger, I had a thing for guys who were like really tough, but also sensitive on the inside. That mythology guy that doesn't really exist. That, you know, he's kind of the bad boy, but he's kind of like, you know, and Stallone looks like he is that. Like, he's got expressive eyes. He has an expressive face. He looks like he got... Shut up. Shut up, sir. Arnold just looks Arnold looks like every jock that I
love
went
my
to high
turtles.
school with that, like, dumped my books and was, like, really crass and horrible. Like, he just looks like... He doesn't have anything going on behind there. There's no emotional. He may be smart, but I'm just saying, like, in films he just comes across as like big dumb jock guy, whereas Stallone is also big dumb jock guy, but he has emotional depth, and that's for me what gets me. It's why I like Spike more than Angel in the Buffyverse, because he's got more emotionally going on back there. You guys can laugh at me all you
No,
want
I'm
to.
not, we're not laughing at
I'll
you.
punch
we're,
you
we're,
in the
we're
face.
thinking about Stallone. This one man dead. It's not my fault. I don't want any more. You're under arrest, but I didn't do anything. What? What? That's like the scene. What are you looking at me like that for?
Sorry.
That's not what he sounded like.
It is what he sounds like.
No.
Watch the movie.
I've watched the movie.
It's what he sounds like.
One man dead. It's not my fault. I don't want him more hurt. But we were kids. But I didn't do anything. Ah!
Stallone did get me with the puppy dog eyes, Chris. He did. You're right. Okay.
I like both of them. I like Sylvester
I like them
Stallone,
both. I like
and
them
I
both.
like Arnold. I like both of them.
I didn't like him in Oscar, but I like them both.
I've never even bothered to watch Oscar.
Look, I'm going to tell you, like, I love Schwarzenegger as the Terminator because he's a robot.
Oh, my God.
And he does a great job playing a robot because there's no emotion.
You don't like him in Total Recall?
I need to...
I'm getting that on 4K when it comes out next month.
That's
2
fine.
weeks.
Monkey Boy says, when I was younger, I found aliens. I think I already read that. Just because there were so many xenomorphs in the sequel. Yeah, I read that. Okay.
Take this pen and stick it up your nose. It's the greatest thing ever.
Get your tamale.
Esoteric Eric says, Arnold's getting a raw deal here.
Oh,
That's gold, Jerry. That's gold. Kieran says, Michael's going to be sleeping in the toy room tonight. You're not wrong, Kieran. You're not wrong.
Luckily, he has the most comfortable reclining couch
Right?
ever made.
right?
So it's like, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's forward thinking, Michael.
Hey, I didn't do nothing.
Werewolf by Lunchtime says
It's
he
not
was
my
good.
fault.
He was good in True Lies. And I don't like True Lies. So
Oh my gosh. Have you ever killed anybody? Yes, but they were all bad.
They were all bad. He's on that.
It's like my favorite line in the whole
those
movie.
drugs.
Yeah.
My favorite line is when Elijah Dushku walks by Tom Arnold. She's got that helmet on. He's like, I remember the first time I was shot out of a cannon. Why? What? I am not. Look, I have not in any way done or said anything. You know I love Stallone. And
you don't love him as much as I do.
No.
I don't think anybody loves
Nobody
him as much
loves
as you do.
Stallone as much as you do.
You guys. Did we tell them what I got? Or are we waiting until
We should wait. We should wait.
No, we told him in the after show what you got.
That's right. We did say
I
that.
have
Have
a
you got
really-
it yet, though? You
I
haven't
have
got
a
it
really
yet.
cool gift coming that is Stallone themed, and
I
I'm
think
really
you wait till
excited
it's
about
here
it.
and then you show everybody.
Also, since we're coming up on time, I do want to have this conversation. There's two.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
Hey, I'm gonna give
Wasn't
you
my
a war
war.
you won't believe.
You asked me. I didn't ask you. I'm gonna come here and do the live stream.
Topic change. Somebody
like this
earlier
every
asked
day.
the question about whether Michael got me a PS5, and funny story about that. I've been super bummed out, you guys, because the early reports are that the PS5 is having some problems, as many technologies do when they are first launched, and so we have made the decision. We have made the decision
They.
that
Yes.
I have to wait 6 months to get a PS5. And I'm
It's-
super bummed out about it.
We are waiting. It's called family video game planning.
It sucks.
But, you know.
And you guys are right. I do miss Aaron. I need Aaron here to be on my side because I need
Responsible-
somebody to be on my side.
Responsible consolehood is important in any family.
I didn't think we were against you in any way.
Anyway, I'm super bummed out because I really wanted to play that Stray game, and there's several other games that look pretty awesome on the PS5.
You're
I'm
going to get the
excited about it.
PS5. You're going to be able
I
to
know,
play the
you
games.
guys. I know. Never buy a console at launch, but like, it's literally all I had to look forward to during my Christmas break.
Oh my gosh.
If you don't think that you're going to get a PS5, I have some advice for you. Stick around. Because you will get one.
Take this pen.
And stick it up your nose. No, I'm just saying, you will get the PS5. It'll be a glorious thing. You'll be able to play your Stray Cat game.
You'll be able to play it all of 10 minutes and then be fine.
And maybe.
I'll give you a war you won't believe.
Just saying.
Look, I'm just saying that the Predator doesn't make any damn sense. It doesn't make any sense, you guys. Why does he skin them? Why does he hang them upside down? Why does he?
Well, he doesn't in the
choose
first one.
the most dangerous.
Well,
he
yeah,
does too.
Well, no, he hangs them. Well, yeah, no, he
yes,
hung
he
them upside
does.
down,
He hangs
yeah.
them and skins them like Willow and Buffy.
Well, he just rips the spine and skull out. That's the only part he wants.
But so the rest of it's kind of a production.
But as a trophy.
Yeah.
But if he's hiding the whole time, then what difference does it make? Anyways. Jody, thank you for my PS5 budget. I appreciate it. Look.
You know what I don't think makes sense? This toy right here. It looks the queen herself looks great, but the hive is literally her egg sac, but it's pouring fluid on a hapless victim.
Well, and it's pointing up, and her egg sac always pointed down.
Down because because eggs.
Yeah.
Can we talk about on a subsequent live stream the competition and the weird cultiness around Xbox versus PS5?
Well, you really want to have like a screaming match.
Because I mean, people are like, I don't even understand.
You know what I'm gonna decorate the table with? Our tears and blood. That's what it's gonna be. There won't be anything to put up here except just char. It'll be a charnel house.
Kieran says he skins them for fun, and it's like, so he is Ed Gein in space.
Pretty much.
Like, he's just
well, they don't value
serial
humans.
killer.
They don't value humans at all.
Jeff says the skins are rugs, so he's Texas Chainsaw Massacring them.
He takes their skull and they mount them in their ship.
But
as
why
trophies.
does he take the skin?
He doesn't.
That is it. Yes, he does. He skins them.
Well, he skins them, but all
he says
takes...
predators skin the cowards and take the skulls of ones who are worthy.
I don't know.
And is that established in the films, or is that some weird, like, in the novels and in the comic books?
I think that's must be extended universe.
That doesn't count to me.
So
you know who
if you can't put it in the film and own it,
you know whose skin or skull?
You know why? Because it's freaking scary. That's why.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
You know, in the franchise, whose skin nor skull they never took, who gets no love. Lin Kurosawa from the arcade game. That's right. And I found out during my replay of the arcade game, I never knew this, 1994, so it's a Capcom game that comes out after Street Fighter II and during the whole Mortal Kombat revolution. Even though this was a co-op beat-em-up, they decided to put fighting game mechanics into the combat system. So I'm playing the game through again a few nights ago, and suddenly she throws a Hadouken, and I'm like, what? How did I do this? I have no idea. So I start typing little like joystick combos, and suddenly she's like, "You did!" And she like goes woo with her foot, and she like beheads like 5 aliens and no health penalty. And I'm like, whoa! So it's Street Fighter 2 meets the beat 'em up Fatal Fury or Final Fight.
That does sound badass.
Final Fight. You gotta play it. It's amazing. It's a great game. It's almost as good as X-Men. Not quite, but almost.
Wolfie says, apologies, we are driving. Michael may have covered this, but always felt the Aliens vs. Predator 90-04 is a separate franchise from Alien vs. Predator 04 to present. No Marines and time frame being the biggest difference.
Oh, I see what he's saying.
Yeah, the universes.
Yeah.
Oh, Aliens vs. Predators from 1990 to 2004 as a separate franchise from Aliens vs. Predator 2004 to present.
He's marking it from the moment the first movie was launched.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, Wolfie, you're not wrong. They are separate incarnations of the same idea.
There's multiple. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but yeah, it's that universe is like it was going in a straight line and then just went. Bleh.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all over the place.
Yeah, they're multiverses for sure.
So, yeah,
thanks to licensing and corporate deals.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, look, if you love Predator, then you're just gonna love Predator. Nothing that I say is gonna change it, and nor should it.
Jason Anderson says Michael has just now started 100 AVP arcade ROM downloads.
But like,
somebody's going, what's going on?
Yeah. Wow, my piracy site has gotten so much traffic today.
We don't condone piracy, and RetroBlasting is not encouraging people to steal games.
I was sitting there playing beheading aliens with my katana sword. She's got a katana sword, by the way. She's got a ninja sword, and she'd like do a move, and then she'd kick, and then she'd be like, all right. And I'm like, yeah, all right. And then I just keep killing aliens. It was great. It was great.
No doubt.
I love when you put a quarter in to a game like that back then, and it would just yell out the name of the character you picked. I thought that was awesome. Dazzler, yeah! Like, Nightcrawler.
I just can't get past the name Dazzler. It just sounds like she needs to glitter. Like it just.
Well, I'll tell you what it sounds like, but it's not family friendly.
I know. Well, that's why I went with glitter instead. I thought that was a little more appropriate. But you guys know what I'm saying.
If there was one X-Men member that Kylie Minogue was perfect to play, Dazzler.
Boy, that makes me not want to make any more comments. And
Alien vs. Predator is a great arcade game. And I want to, just kind of put that out there for the live stream because this whole thing's been about Alien versus Predator, and we've been arguing back and forth about the franchises. But if there's one thing that I think brings both the franchises and the disparate fans together, it's a good co-op beat 'em up from the 90s in arcades. And it's that one.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something we can all agree on.
We can agree on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can play as either one of two Predators, or you can play as Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, or you can play as Lin Kurosawa, who can throw Hadokens, uses a ninja sword, and goes, all right, all the time.
With those options, I would definitely choose Lin Kurosawa.
That's right. That's right.
Because, I mean...
Mm-hmm.
So, we don't have any Dazzler. Wasn't that a My Little Pony, Scuba Pete says?
Aw. Come on now.
You're not wrong. I don't know that it was, though, but yeah. It does sound like that, though, doesn't it?
Housekeeping. Look, a couple of housekeeping things. Press like. Thank you. Join Patreon for the after show. It's $1. You get 4 after shows for $1. Come on. It's worth it.
Also...
Thank you, guys.
Real quick, we want to make one announcement about this coming Thursday.
Oh, right. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I don't know exactly what all the details are.
I don't really either. But
this Thursday on Thanksgiving here in the United States, we know that because especially with the lockdown, there are going to be a lot of people who, and just the situation in general, who might not already have family and or aren't going to be visiting their family. So we're going to do a live stream on Thanksgiving Day. For those of you that know, we normally do a live stream on Christmas Day as well, which we will also be doing. We've been doing that every year for 8 years, but we're going to be doing a Thanksgiving one this year because we also will not be with our family on Thanksgiving, which we normally are. So for those of you that want to tune in for that, feel free. And then we will also be doing a Saturday live stream a few days after that as normal.
I'm going to bake a pie. Not on the live stream, but I'm going to have it here. I'm going to have it here, and then, we can sing the songs from the second Addams Family movie.
Oh, my God, Jason.
Jason says, Thanksgiving Day live stream. Woo, now I can eat my Pop-Tart with my cat and a bunch of crazy people.
Oh, my God.
Yes, you can, Jason. You can always do that with us. And we welcome that. So, but yeah, I mean, I can't go see my family because I don't want to put my grandmother at risk or my mom. Not that I'm really a huge risk, but it's kind of a long drive. So it's just a whole thing. And so we thought, well, other people are probably in this situation too. And it's crazy out there. So let's give people something to look forward to. Get your, microwavable dinner together, or whatever it is you're doing. Maybe you're cooking, because I'm going to cook. I don't care. I'm going to cook anyway.
Yeah.
And even though it's just the two of us. And
Tim, my parents, they were part of this whole thing. They were the ones saying, hey, everybody just stay where you are for the Thanksgiving Day. It's fine. They're going to Zoom call with my nephew and stuff, and it'll be fine. We'll call them on Thanksgiving Day, but everybody's just trying to ride this out a little longer because, it's still officially 2020, right? So, yeah, but everybody's fine. Everybody's good.
And Chicken Man asked what time. We haven't decided what time, but we will try to pick a time so that that those of you who are not here in the U.S., like if you're in the UK, maybe it'll be after work because I know it's a regular day for you guys. And then World Made of Cardboard, last super chat, says, my wife wants you to set up in the kitchen and bake the pie, which I did consider doing, and we will talk about that on the after show. So,
what super chat was this? I'm just wanting to make sure.
We already read
that.
Oh,
okay, cool. I just want to make sure. Don't want to miss any super chats.
So, anyway.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to be going over to do the Patreon after show.
We're not going over there. We're going to be right here.
In the next 15 to 20 minutes, we'll be posting the link to the after show. I'm almost finished with Inhumanoids Part 2. It'll be done early next week, and that'll be posted on the channel probably Monday or Tuesday. Fingers crossed. Excuse me.
Jesus.
It's the RC. Fingers crossed. All right, I'm going to go belch more moon pie. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. West of your weekend, as I do Elmer Fudd. And we'll talk to you later. You guys have fun.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.
Can't believe you.
What'd I do?
The burping? That was really gross.